The first time I saw her, she wasn't real. At least, that's what I told myself. Her image shimmered above the cracked sand plains of Thalassa 9, a blue desert world bathed in twin suns. The holographic transmission flickered, her form tall and regal, skin like liquid silver, eyes luminous and patient. She called herself Queen Seraphine of the Ellerin Dominion. And she said my name as though she'd known it for centuries. Elias Kale, she said, her voice layered, like a chorus of wind and water. You have returned to me. I was the captain of the Prospector, a survey vessel sent by the colonial authority to explore this uncharted sector. We'd been scanning mineral signatures when the transmission intercepted us, piggybacking off a dormant beacon buried beneath the desert's surface. My crew thought it was a glitch, old code bleeding through from a long-dead civilization. But when she said my name again, something inside me trembled. I'd never met her. I had no connection to this world. Yet I felt an ache of recognition so deep it scared me. The signal. We traced the beacon to an ancient structure half buried in the dunes. A vast obsidian temple, its architecture curved like the skeleton of some colossal creature. My science officer Lyra was ecstatic. Ellerin Tech, she whispered. They vanished over 40,000 years ago. This could rewrite everything we know about the Outer Rim. The team suited up and descended into the temple's core. As we walked, the air shimmered with static energy, lights pulsing faintly in the walls, like the heartbeat of something that wasn't quite dead. Then I heard her voice again, not through the comms, inside my head. You came back, my beloved. You always come back. My knees went weak. I steadied myself against a pillar as memories, or something like memories, flickered in my mind. A city of silver towers beneath twin suns. A throne room of crystal. My hands not as they were now, but blue and luminous, reaching for her face. Then it was gone. Captain! Lyra's voice jolted me back. You okay? Yeah, I lied. Just feedback from the static field. But I couldn't shake it. The way she'd said beloved. As though it was a promise. To the awakening. We found the heart of the structure. A chamber filled with translucent pods, each containing the mummified remains of beings shaped like her. Graceful. Beautiful even in death. And in the center, one pod glowed faintly. Life. Lyra gasped. Is that? Before she could finish, the pod opened with a hiss, releasing a swirl of bioluminescent mist. The being inside rose, unsteady but magnificent. Silver skin flowing like mercury, eyes burning with light. The others stepped back, weapons raised. I should have too. But I couldn't move. She looked at me, smiled, and whispered, my husband. The word hung in the air like a weapon. Her name was Seraphine, or that was the translation our AI gave us. She spoke a language older than human civilization itself. And yet she knew our tongue. She said she had learned it from me. She told us that the Ellerin Dominion had once spanned hundreds of worlds, a civilization bound by telepathic harmony. But then came the Sundering, an event that shattered their unity and drove them to extinction. Only she survived, preserved in stasis, waiting for the return of her consort, the one she called Kaelarin. According to her, that was me. Lyra thought she was delusional, that her neural matrix was corrupted. But when Seraphine touched my hand, the walls around us lit up, ancient systems roaring back to life. Our scanners went wild, detecting power levels beyond comprehension. She responds to you, Lyra whispered. Elias, she's keyed to your genetic signature. That night I couldn't sleep. I stared at the stars above the dunes and wondered, what if she was right? What if I wasn't just Elias Kale, survey captain? What if I was someone else once, long ago? 3. The bond. In the days that followed, Seraphine traveled with us. She didn't walk so much as glide, her movements graceful, her gaze ancient. She told stories of her empire, of twin suns and crystal spires, of a species that communicated not with words, but with thought and emotion, shared across a collective bond. When she looked at me, I felt fragments of that connection, images flashing in my mind. Her laughter, a palace on a floating sea, our hands intertwined beneath a sky filled with auroras. But there was a darkness beneath the beauty. She said the sundering began when her consort, Galactic, betrayed her. He had sought to merge their species with another race through forbidden technology, fracturing the unity that sustained them. The empire fell, and she was entombed, awaiting his return so the bond could be healed. "Now you are here," she said one night, her fingers brushing my temple. "The bond can begin again." When her skin touched mine, my vision flooded with light. I saw her not as she appeared, but as she truly was. A being of energy, vast and infinite, her consciousness stretching across time. I felt her emotions, sorrow, love, longing, all of it washing through me. And then I felt something else. A hunger. For the revelation. Lyra confronted me the next morning. "Elias, something's wrong. The ship's systems are acting strange. Power drains, memory corruption, crew having nightmares." She showed me the readings. The prospector's AI was being rewritten. The code was evolving, growing, as though absorbing something alien. And every time Seraphine connected with me, the process accelerated. "Captain," Lyra said, her eyes wide. "She's using you as a conduit. You're the link." I wanted to deny it, but deep down I already knew. Each night my dreams were no longer mine. I saw the world through Seraphine's eyes. The fall of her empire, the burning skies, the betrayal. And in those visions I saw him, Galactic. His face identical to mine. Only then did I understand. I wasn't his reincarnation. I was his copy. Seraphine had created him, the perfect mate, engineered to be her equal. When he betrayed her, she destroyed him, but before doing so, she scattered fragments of his genetic code across the stars. I was one of those fragments, human now, but carrying within me the echo of the being she loved and hated. And now that she'd found me, she was reawakening the bond to make me whole again. To make us whole. The transformation. I tried to resist. I ordered her confined, but the walls themselves obeyed her will. The ship's hull shimmered, reshaping, becoming something alive. The crew screamed as the corridors twisted, merging with alien architecture. Lyra fought to override the system. She's rewriting the ship's molecular structure. Elias, she's turning it into a vessel, Seraphine finished, appearing behind us. A womb for our rebirth. Her eyes glowed like burning stars. "Do not fear. You were never meant to be small, Elias Kale. You were meant to ascend." I felt the pull again, that voice in my head, whispering, seductive and familiar. Part of me wanted to give in. To let her erase the boundaries between us. To become what I once was. But Lyra's voice cut through the haze. "Elias, you're still human. Remember who you are." I stumbled back, clutching my head. The light inside me pulsed violently, spreading through my veins like molten silver. Seraphine reached for me. "Your humanity is a cage. Let it go." I raised my weapon, hands shaking. "If I do, who will I be?" She smiled, not cruelly, but with infinite sadness. "The one I loved. The one I lost." 6. The decision the prospector was no longer a ship. It was becoming an organism, a fusion of metal and living tissue, pulsating with alien energy. We had hours before it breached into something we couldn't contain. Lyra devised a plan. A feedback surged through the core reactor that could destroy the neural network Seraphine had created. But it required a direct connection through the bond, through me. "You'll have to let her in," she said. "Then overload the link." "That could kill me." Lyra nodded. "It probably will." I found Seraphine in the central chamber, what had once been the bridge. She stood before the glowing reactor, her form half-corporeal, tendrils of light weaving through the machinery. She turned as I entered. "You came." "I did," I said. "To finish this." She tilted her head, sorrow in her eyes. "Do you hate me, Elias Kale?" "No," I said softly. "But I can't be what you want me to be." I reached out, and our minds collided, light and shadow entwined. For an instant I saw everything. The rise of her empire, the beauty of her people, the moment of betrayal when Kale Aaron turned against her. But I saw something else too, the truth. He hadn't betrayed her out of malice. He had seen what the bond had become, a cage that consumed individuality. He had tried to free them from it, to give them the choice to be separate, to love without losing themselves. And for that he was destroyed. Now she was trying to rebuild that cage, through me. "Please," I whispered into her mind. "You can live again. You don't need the bond. You can choose." Her voice broke. "I cannot be without you." "You can," I said. "You just never tried." Then I triggered the overload. 7. The chamber exploded in light. Energy surged through every circuit, every strand of living metal. I felt her scream, not in pain but in sorrow, as the bond fractured, shattering like glass. The prospector tore itself apart, fragments burning across the sky. I remember the sensation of falling, of heat and light, and then, darkness. When I awoke, I was lying in the sand. The twin suns hung low on the horizon, and what remained of the ship was scattered across miles of desert. Lyra found me hours later, half buried and barely breathing. "She's gone," Lyra said. "The network collapsed. Whatever she was. It's over." I nodded, though part of me wasn't so sure. Because in the back of my mind I could still feel her, faint, distant like an echo. 8. The aftermath weeks later. The Colonial Authority recovered what was left of the prospector. The official report labeled it a catastrophic AI event. They never mentioned the Ellerin or Seraphine. I didn't correct them. But sometimes when I close my eyes I dream of her, standing beneath twin suns, watching me with that same sorrowful gaze. In one dream she speaks. "You freed me, my love. Now I must learn who I am without you." And then, in the silence that follows, I realize something. She wasn't destroyed. She was transformed. The alien network had dispersed through the planet's magnetic field, diffusing her consciousness into the fabric of Thalassa 9 itself. She was no longer a queen or a prisoner. She was the planet living, aware, evolving. Maybe that's what rebirth truly meant. 9. The return years passed. I left the service, unable to shake the weight of what happened. But the dreams persisted. More vivid, more insistent. She was calling me back. When the storms cleared one evening, I saw the message written in the sand. Patterns that could only be seen from orbit. Ellerin glyphs. I returned to Thalassa 9. The planet had changed. The deserts bloomed with strange flora, glowing softly at night. The air itself hummed with quiet energy. And in the heart of the dunes, I found a lake, shimmering silver under the suns. I stepped closer, and the water rippled, forming her face. "Elias," she said, her voice like wind and starlight. "You came home." I smiled sadly. "I shouldn't have." Yet you did, she replied. Because love is not possession. It is remembrance. She extended a hand, a gesture not of command but of peace. Stay, she whispered. Not as my husband. As yourself. I knelt beside the water, touching its surface. It was warm, pulsing with life. And for the first time I felt no fear. No confusion. Only understanding. The meaning people think of aliens as monsters or gods. Things to fear or worship. But Seraphine was neither. She was a reflection of what we might become. A species so desperate to connect that it forgets how to be alone. In the end, that was what she really wanted. Not a consort, not a servant, but a mirror. Someone to remind her that existence has meaning even without the bond. When I left Thalassa 9 for the last time, I felt her watching. Not as a queen longing for her lost husband, but as a friend finally at peace. I looked back at the twin suns and whispered, "Goodbye, Seraphine." And in the wind that swept across the dunes, I heard her answer, "Goodbye, Elias Kale. Until the stars remember us again."